Stock market and SoFi investors, welcome back to the channel. It's been an exciting week for SoFi stock. We just hit a 52-week high this past week. Can this success continue? And can we get to 30, 35, maybe even $40 before the end of the year? You're gonna have to stick around for the video. I'm gonna go over some recent articles talking about hitting this new 52-week high, some overall macroeconomic environment stuff I wanna talk to you guys about, and just take a look at the overall business of SoFi and see what's going on underneath the hood. Let's get into the video. All right, all my SoFi investors, make sure you do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It does really help us get into YouTube's algorithm, right? I was going through the SoFi news cycle today. This article came out. SoFi stock pulls back from 52-week high ahead of Fed decision. What is going on? We saw a surge in the stock yesterday, right? We had a big day in the market yesterday for SoFi stock, right? So we launched up all the way to 28 bucks per share. We pulled back a little bit today. I did nibble a little bit. I bought 25 shares when it went under 27 bucks. Then we shot back up over $27 to 27.40, right? So as we take a look at this kind of news cycle, see what's going on. It says shares are falling Tuesday, experiencing a pullback after a rally pushed the stock to 52-week highs on Monday. Always a good sign, right? On Monday, shares surged on investor optimism that policymakers could deliver a 25 basis point interest rate cut. Guys, this is already priced in. I'm just being real with you guys, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a pullback in the overall stock market through the rest of the week. I think this 25 basis point interest rate cut is already priced in, and if they don't cut rates, we're really going to see a sell-off in my opinion. But I do think all this excitement over the rate cuts, even though it's only 25 basis points, it's really not going to do much to the economy in the short term, in my opinion, right? So I expect them to cut rates tomorrow. I think everybody does. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a little bit of a pullback over the next couple of days for at least the rest of the week, right? This speculation intensified after recent data showed jobless claims rising to their highest level since 2021, suggesting a cooling labor market that may prompt the Fed to ease monetary policy. I 100% agree that as we see unemployment tick up, there's going to be more and more pressure for the Fed to cut interest rates, right? I think they need to make credit more accessible to people and not gouge them with these crazy high interest rates, especially as unemployment and jobless claims continue to rise up. But this is a good thing for SoFi's business model, right? Because I think there's going to be a demand, like this article says. It's going to be a tailwind for their personal loans, student loans, home loans, and also refinancing home loans, right? A lot of people have mortgages upwards over 6%, right? So as interest rates go down into that 4.5% range over the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of people refinancing, and that's going to be a huge revenue stream for SoFi, and I'm really excited about that. But just because the business continues to do really well doesn't necessarily mean that the stock will continue to go up. If the overall market starts to deteriorate, it's been running really hot right now. VOO and all these stocks that track the overall stock market, the S&P 500, are all at 52-week highs, guys. Not necessarily a great time to be buying, in my opinion. But I do think there's a lot of positive momentum for SoFi stock, even over the last 3 months, almost a double up, near 100%, guys. Year to date up 82%, over the last year up 250%, guys. Absolutely crushing it, guys. Can this momentum continue over the next couple of years? We have a little ways to go to catch up with our valuation, right? If we take a look right here, we'll see the valuation. Market cap at $33 billion. That's the highest it's ever been, guys. SoFi investors, clap it up, man. We've crushed it. Trailing PE at 55 is really high as well, right? As this company becomes more and more mature, this number matters more and more. Forward PE at 46 isn't awful. They are kind of pricing in some growth, right? So that's a good thing. PEG ratio over, almost closing in at 2.5. That's pretty high. Price to sales is really high at 10. You know, back in June of 2024, it was under 3, right? So it's 3 times what that price is now. Price to book over 4, closing in on 5. That's really, really expensive as well, guys. And we just did that offering, so the debt is raising as well. Total debt over $4 billion, total cash $2 billion. But the free cash flow over the next couple of quarters are going to be good, so I'm excited about that. Revenue coming in around $3 billion, right? So quarterly revenue growth year over year, up 43%. We can't sneeze at that at all. And I do think shorts are starting to second guess themselves with SoFi stock, because if you take a look, the short percentage is under 9%. At some point last year, it was really, really, really high. It was in the 14s, 15s, 16s, all the way up pushing towards 20% with the short interest, right? So under 10% is always a good sign for shorts if you're a long-term investor, right? You don't really want to be involved in a stock that has a super high short interest, and then a short squeeze with this at 8.5% is out of the picture, in my opinion, right? So a lot of good things going on with SoFi stock. I mean, if we take a look here at Fintel, this is going to give us the institutional ownership, 1,047 total institutional owners, and they own over 600 million shares of SoFi, closing in on 51% of all the shares outstanding. And we've seen a complete rise since June of 2023 of institutions gobbling up shares. And then actually in 2025, we saw a lot of selling off from institutions month after month after month. And then boom, we did that offering, and then institutions gobbled up. That was like $20.85. I think they gobbled that up. So that's really given us a nice base, right? But the institutional investors have slowed down, right? August was crazy. Like, look at all these buys in August. It's crazy. But in September, it's really, really, really slowed down, right? We had Valeo Financial Advisors sell out of all their call positions, right? We had Advisor Group Holdings trim their position a little bit here, guys. But nothing's really been happening the last 2 weeks, right? The last major buys was at the end of August. I think a lot of rebalancing was happening at that point. So we could see that stock trade kind of sideways a little bit because we don't have the institutions buying and pushing up the stock price, right? So retail is going to have to come in to push up the stock. And that works both ways. If we start to see a sell-off, it could happen pretty rapidly because I think institutional investors will stay the long term. But we all know retail investors are very fleeting, right? They come quick and they leave quick, right? So it could go either way, in my opinion. Price target, I'm going $30 by the end of the year to hold $30. I think that's a reasonable. But if the stock regressed to 25, 24, 23, I wouldn't be completely surprised at all. I think a lot of this recent run-up has been priced in for tech stocks, and SoFi being a fintech stock. So, but long term, I don't give a shit about that. I care about the trajectory of the company, right? Long term, we could see top line and bottom line just increase. We're net profitable now. Quarter over quarter, still looking great. Profitability still there. And we see the year over year changes for revenue. Operating expenses is up way more than I would like it. Operating expense up 26%. That is big, in my opinion. But net income, profit margin, earnings per share, revenue are all significantly higher than operating expense increase. So I'm happy about that. Right. Here is the annual balance sheet, guys. Looking pretty good so far. Assets outweighing liabilities, which is always a good thing. Long term for any stock that you're investing in, straight up. So I like what's going on with SoFi right now. It is trading a little rich, especially in that $26 to $30 range. We'll see what earnings look like in a couple of months, but that's not going to be for a little while, right? So I think we could see some sideways trading over the next couple of months, right? In my opinion. So the next earnings report is not till the end of October. Expected is October 28th pre-market. But as you can see from the earnings, guys, we're beating expectations each and every quarter since back in 2023, right? It's as long as Robinhood has this information, right? So every single quarter, whatever they're expecting, we're beating. So if they, for whatever reason, don't beat earnings, we're going to see a huge sell-off in the stock. I don't expect that to happen, but it's something you have to take in consideration if you're a long-term SoFi investor, right? So I do think $30 is a solid price target for the end of the year. This is kind of what I'm seeing in SoFi stock right now. I just wanted to give you guys an update on what I'm seeing. You are seeing a significant slowdown in institutional ownership going, because August was such a big month. We really got more institutions involved. That kind of bumped up the stock price, right? So be careful, guys. The stock is running ahead of itself a little bit, but that doesn't mean it can't run, right? If retail investors want to bump this stock up, look out. But it also can go inversely the other way. So we'll have to see what happens for the rest of the year. Typically, October and November are a little bit of a slowdown in stock market investing. And then sometimes we get a Santa Claus rally towards the middle of December into January, right? All right, guys, that's my thoughts on SoFi stock and where I think the stock is going from here. $30 price target for the end of the year. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.